yeah, Adam Levine, it was just very validating to have Adam emailed me. I had never met him, and it was like Moves Like Jagger, I think, had just come out. It was like a really intense time in his career, and he was like, yeah, I'll invent a label if you'll be the first artist on
Wow.
it. Yeah, it was extremely flattering and validating in a lot of ways, which I think I really needed at that time.
Rozzi, welcome to From Vision to Creation. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm super excited, Rozzi, because you have an incredible journey from being founded by Adam Levine to then working with legends like Nile Rodgers, Billie Eilish, and Kendrick Lamar, just to name a few, to now writing your new album, Fig Tree, where you explore womanhood, honesty, and growth in such amazing ways. It's been quite the ride, so I'm excited to dive into this journey with you today and just like learn about more about your story and all the lessons you learned along the way.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, it has been a journey.
Well, Rozzi, let's rewind. Take me back to your childhood when you first realized that you were musically gifted.
Oh my God. I don't know if I ever had a moment where I thought I was gifted, but I definitely had a moment where I knew this is what I wanted to do. I sang in the first grade talent show. I sang a Jewel song. And I tell this story all the time. And so much so that Jewel followed me on Instagram, which was like honestly, like that should be in my bio when people introduce me. Yeah, I sang a Jewel song in the first grade talent show. And that's when I knew that I was going to be a singer. And honestly, there's never been a moment of doubt since somehow. So yeah, but I'm not sure I ever was like, I'm gifted. I just was like stubborn.
Just like always loved music.
Yeah, I mean, I loved music always, but I just had like a very strong knowing that I've never really had in any other way, really. It was just like truly like a knowing that that's what I was going to do forever. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so when I was growing up, I loved music and I wanted to be a musician like secretly, but I knew I could never do it because I'm not good like at all. But I find it interesting that you knew so early on, but look, here's the difference though. I feel like everybody at some point when they're a kid, they want to be a singer.
Right.
You always wanted to be a singer and you are one, but there was something in you that knew that you could actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, it's hard to look back and really be able to speak about it objectively because first of all, it was a long time ago. Second of all, I've told the story many times. Third of all, stories kind of become whatever you want them to be as you get older, you know? So I don't know if that was just stubbornness and resilience or if like that was honestly, I do really believe it's some kind of purpose thing that's just kind of magical that we all have. And I think I just really remember that moment for me because it was so intense. But yeah, I don't know why I thought I could do it. I don't know. I had no evidence that I could, frankly.
So you have this knowing when you're a kid that you want to be a musician, but I want to talk about at what point did you take the leap from that knowing to writing your first song, Why Not Me?
Oh my God. How did you know that? That's crazy.
I did my homework.
Wow. Well, to be honest, I probably wrote some other songs before Why Not Me, but I didn't record them. I recorded that song only because my friend Emily Tamor had some kind of like, I don't know, like early 2000s computer with like some microphone attachment. So we recorded an entire album a cappella in her parents' basement. But I think before then I would make up songs like in preschool. I would just walk around making up songs. It was just more fun to me than hanging out with anyone, which is still true. Still who I am most of the time. So, yeah.
You're definitely I don't know if it's the second or the third, but you're not the first artists, musicians specifically, to tell me that they had more fun
Yeah.
being alone, being creative
Oh
than with
yeah.
friends.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love my friends. Don't get me wrong. I love the people in my life, but I think I've heard that the actual definition of an introvert is that you get your energy from solitude, and the
Yes.
definition of an extrovert is you get your energy from other people. And by that definition, I am the ultimate introvert. If I don't have alone time, I will lose my mind. But that's not to say I don't need people too. But yeah, I just from a young age I liked to be by myself, and I liked to be in my imagination, and I liked to be making up songs, making up stories. That was really just my favorite thing to do. I could keep myself company. I still can really keep myself company with creativity, I guess. Yeah.
You are an introvert if that's where you get your energy. That's
Yeah.
100% correct. And I think that a lot of people get confused by that. Me being one of them, when I grew up, I loved being around people, but my battery gets recharged when I'm alone.
Yeah,
So,
no, totally. And I think no one believes I think people have a hard time understanding that performers could be introverts because obviously I'm comfortable in front of people. I live for it kind of, but in order to like charge, like you just said, to recharge, I need everyone to leave me alone.
when you graduated from high school, and I know at this point you were already, working on music, you decided to pursue music through your education. Can you talk to us about making that choice and how your perspective on music, both as it pertains to songwriting and as a business, evolved through your education?
Well, I think I went to college for two reasons. Largely, I think my family was like, go to college. Like that was just kind of, I don't think anyone, just most people in my family went to college. So I think they wanted me also to go to college. But I also think, I don't know if I knew this, but in hindsight, I was so, so, so green and had, I think quite literally never met an professional artist, like other than like my voice teacher or my high school music teacher, people who taught me, who completely shaped me in incredible ways. I didn't know any professional artists, let alone the music industry. So I think I needed some kind of I needed a community, basically. I could, or really, I guess I should say, I was very lucky that I could go to school and start building a community through school. And I don't think I even really knew how valuable that was because all my first jobs, everything came out of USC, where I was at USC. Everything started there. So not to mention, like you just mentioned, like my education. I learned a lot too about music and everything just in class. So I think it was exactly what I needed, but it wasn't what I thought I wanted. I thought I just wanted to like move to LA and just go make music. But I basically did get to do that just like in a much like cozier way, really, I was very lucky.
One, I'm glad you brought up having a community and how important that is, because I feel like that is that's a big theme on this show about building your community and how that really is almost like a launching pad for the rest of your career,
Right.
in a way. When you were in college, you were already licensing music, which I think is so fascinating because I feel that there's a lot of mystery, especially like in an industry like music. How were you able to license music so early on, not just in your career, but in your life, Rozzi?
I think it is all about community. I got to USC, like I said, I didn't know artists really. And Ben Bram, who was either a junior or a senior when I was a freshman, I don't remember how we met. He maybe heard me sing. I said yes to everything. That's the truth. I got to LA and I said yes to everything, including like weird parties at like the frat down the street that I had no business being at, but I would sing anywhere somebody asked me to sing. And maybe I'm assuming it was one of those places where I met Ben, and Ben, I think it was like his uncle or somebody did music supervision somewhere that needed music for this Lifetime movie. And for some reason, Ben asked me to do it with him. And so we wrote some songs for it, and a song I had already written was used. And Yeah, I mean, it was so exciting. I'm 18. I knew what I wanted in such a strong way since I was 6. But like I said, I didn't really have any clue how to do it. And it was community pretty immediately that um, led me to like my first opportunities like that.
Another really important thing that you just mentioned is saying yes to everything,
Yeah.
especially like I feel like for some weird reason, I've noticed that, especially on social media nowadays, people are almost made fun of for trying hard.
Right.
But it's like, shouldn't we want people to try hard?
No, I try so hard. I mean, honestly, I have to work on trying less hard sometimes. Like that's my
Mm-mm.
struggle because I'm such like an go-getter kind of person. So I agree with you. Especially when you're new somewhere and you're new to something, I think saying yes is one of the most powerful things you can do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I bring this up because I think it's very interesting that there's a lot of fear around something like pursuing music. It's a very vulnerable place to be
Yeah.
in.
Definitely.
And yet you still said yes.
Hmm.
What was it in you that got you through the fear? Or was the fear not even, did you not even really factor that into the equation?
Um, I think I have always there's like a good kind of fear, that I
Hmm.
recognize that is a clear sign to me that I should do the thing that scares me. And it
Hmm.
feels very different from fear that's like your intuition telling you to run or leave. It kind of feels the opposite. And
Hmm.
I'm not really quite sure how to describe it. Either it's so super intuitive, but it's like this scares me in a way that feels like growth.
Mm.
Like this scares me in a way that it's almost like sometimes I have this really ridiculous feeling that like this is gonna sound crazy, but like future me is communicating to me and like I'm communicating to past me. Like I almost feel, do you know what I mean?
Rozzi, that is so, no, I'm actually getting the chills. I can't
Really?
believe you just said that. I just had this conversation yesterday.
No
I
way.
did. I said those exact words. I
No
said,
way.
yep, those exact words that I feel like sometimes I can communicate with past me and
Yes.
future me communicates with me now.
Yes, and I genuinely feel that way. Like I
Yep.
think like we can agree that time is some kind of at least a mystery, like probably an illusion,
Mhm.
And I do feel like that's sometimes what intuition is. It's like
Mhm.
my future self saying something to me and then sometimes I feel myself communicating with my past self and I was like, is that why I had intuition back then? Was
Mm.
that's the craziest most like woo woo thing ever, but it's a feeling that I get. And I can recognize the version of me on the other side of something scary, usually.
Mm.
That's like, that looks cool. Like, I want to go be her, kind of,
Mhm.
So I think it requires a lot of bravery, but like I said, I just knew so clearly what I was supposed to do that it was never really like, it didn't require that much bravery because I knew it was right, you know?
Mhm. No, so that's huge. So, in order to distinguish between something being instinctual fear, where your body and your mind, spirit, whatever, are actually
Yeah.
telling you run,
Hmm.
versus something that just makes you a little fearful because maybe it's a little nerve wracking.
Yeah.
I think it's important to like quiet your mind, quiet the voice in your head, so that you can hear that still voice on the other side. Like, is this right or
Yes.
not?
Yeah, and I've gotten better because I do think you can confuse the two, and I've said yes to stuff that maybe I shouldn't have said yes to.
Hmm.
And I think you can hone that skill of being able to tell the difference. But I totally agree. You kind of need to
Hmm.
quiet your mind in order to know who's talking. you know?
And you were discovered by Adam Levine, and you were the first artist signed to his record label. Can you talk to us about how that opportunity came about and what you were feeling at the time? I'm sure you were like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like somebody pinched me.
Yeah, it's really cute when I think about that now because I was so young, 19, and like I said, I just always knew what I wanted. And like you said, everybody at some point, every little kid's like, I want to be a singer. But I was like, no, guys, I'm serious. And so, uh, yeah, Adam Levine, it was just very validating to have Adam emailed me. I'd never met him. And it was like Moves Like Jagger, I think had just come out. It was like a really intense time in his career. And he was like, yeah, I'll invent a label if you'll be the first artist on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was extremely flattering. and validating in a lot of ways, which I think I really needed at that time.
So let's talk about you're receiving the email. You get an email from Adam Levine. At first, were you like, is this a scam? Like, is
Yeah,
this real? Like,
totally. Yeah. I mean, I had met his manager. It wasn't 1000% out of the blue. It was like, I knew there was some interest. I didn't know it was that kind of interest. So it was still very much like, is this real? I was like at a party. I was 19, you know, like it was hilarious. Yeah. And it was just, it was so exciting. That's really, it was, and I think it's the kind of thing when you're so young, something like that can just be pure cool. It was like pure and exciting and just like a thrill. And like I said, validating. That was a big part of it too.
and up until that point, you were just writing, I know you were licensing music, you're writing songs for yourself, but you were basically on your own. Is that right?
Yeah, I was a background singer. I mean, I was in school, and I was like performing, like I said, at all the weird frat parties, but I also was a background singer for Sergio Mendes and Don Henley from the Eagles. So I had just done my first like couple tours when that happened.
What was the major shift in your music career going from, not being signed to a label to now being signed to a label that was actually created for you?
Yeah, crazy.
By one of the most famous people in the world?
You know, in a lot of ways, like nothing really changed. I think it was more of like a emotional change, but I think something that I think is an important lesson for, I mean, maybe anybody, but artists I know for sure, is to understand that all that external stuff, though extremely exciting and sometimes life-changing, is pretty irrelevant to your actual artistry, you know? And, or at least it's irrelevant in the sense, like, it's not, it doesn't really have to mean anything. Like it's, like I said, it was very validating and it was very exciting and it led to wonderful experiences and lessons and opportunities. But I was the same exact artist the day before I got that email as I was the day after. And I think that's a lesson I continue to learn my whole life, that stuff that can be exciting and shiny and make people have a reaction and take you seriously and all that stuff is really fun. But it's actually not the meat of the thing at all. You know, it's like, it's just, and it comes and goes, and no matter how successful you are, those moments come and go. And I think it's really important. I started to learn that then, but I continue to learn it. It's like a lifelong thing, I think, to learn that lesson.
Rozzi, I'm so glad that you said that because it's so true. And I've experienced it, in my own way, like, a big interview or, a big opportunity while like they can seem very exciting and they are. And to your point, like with what happened with you, you have this, you're validated. People can take you more seriously now. But at the end of the day, it's not as though the story kind of just ends there and everybody lives happily ever after.
Right.
It's like, you have to continue with your craft, and I also, one thing that I'm really appreciating about your perspective and your insights on this, and that I think anybody listening can take from this, is even when things are going like amazingly well and there's shiny things, like you said, are happening, you do have to remain centered and focused, because if you get lost in that, it can take away from the craft.
100%. And I think nothing is ever as powerful as you. If you're creating something, nothing is more capable of changing your life than you, you know? Like, I think those things, again, like, they're intoxicating, and partnerships matter and opportunity matters, but you are especially in art, like you are the one, expressing these stories and connecting with these people and helping people feel and helping people grieve. And that is the superpower. That's the magic thing. All the other stuff, though really fun sometimes and like really like fun to say at a party, doesn't really have that magical power you do, and that's important, I think, to remember that the power's in you.
I love it.
You know?
Absolutely. And it's like even somebody, and we'll use Adam Levine as an example. He can't make your career. He can give you an opportunity. You have to make it,
Totally.
which you have. So this is it's and so hearing your story, it's like I think that there are many huge lessons here. And I think that a lot of people, especially in entertainment, think it's gonna be that one big break that gets me to the next level. And it's like it helps, but you have to it's you. It's all
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you've toured and opened for artists like Maroon 5, Gavin DeGraw, Owl City, and Kelly Clarkson. What are a few lessons that you took away from watching them perform every single night?
Oh, wow. I learned so much watching people. I mean, watching Kelly Clarkson sing every night was a masterclass. Like that was so, so, so special. She is one of the best singers in the world. I learned I learned how important it is to like respect your audience. Like I mean that literally, but also like I really believe in playing the songs that your audience wants to hear. I think you owe it to them. I really believe in
Mm,
that. And I learned that watching these artists, singing songs that they wrote maybe 15 years before. It's not necessarily that current in their life anymore on a
mhm.
personal level, but they understand like they have a gift and those songs mean something to the people who came and I really believe in finding a way to make those songs feel fresh and new to you as the performer because I think the audience deserves to hear those songs. I learned that from them. I mean, just how to play a show straight up. I mean, I had to chase Adam around the stage. Like I said, I was a college student. I hadn't done that much performing like that, and I had to literally keep up with him on stage. I mean, I learned so much from that. I opening for people. I gotta say, I will give myself credit. I'm very tough because of it. It's like
Mm.
opening for people is hard because a lot of the times the audience is like, who's this bitch? Like we came for whoever, and you have to try and win them over. And
Mm.
sometimes they don't want to be won over, and I really like that. I get kind of thrilled by that. Like I love surprising people and making them have a great time when they thought it was something, they thought they might skip the open air or it's like a good time to get a snack. And if I can really make them feel something so they are surprised and feel connected and lit up. I love that, but you got to be tough. I'm very tough because of that. God, I mean, I could go on and on. Touring, just like what it's like to live on a bus, like what it's like, how to find Starbucks across freeways when like a lot of America doesn't really know how to walk. Like I mean, like in terms of like infrastructure, there's like no walking available. Like I learned all that. How to like I was a vegetarian for a long time. I had to learn how to do that in all over the country. Like I learned so I continue to learn so much from tour. It's like and seeing the rest of the country. I'm from California. Like I'd maybe been to the South. I had maybe been to the Midwest, but not really. And I got to go there many, many times and meet hundreds of fans after the shows. And I think that was really great for me understanding how big this country is and how many
Mhm.
different kinds of people there are in the world. And like, that was awesome. I learned so much.
One thing that I always find very fascinating about just like when you're thinking about how big the country, the world is,
Yeah.
when you go to a concert or like a music festival, for example, where you know that people from all over the world, all different walks of life, different cultures, completely different perspectives on life are coming together
Mhm.
for music.
Yeah.
And so this is just, a thought of mine. You got to actually experience this
Yeah.
on a very large scale. How did that impact the way you viewed writing music?
I think it's kind of a perfect like microcosm of a bigger thing, which is like you can't please everyone. Like
Mhm.
you cannot it's literally impossible to make a song that everyone on planet Earth will like. Maybe Let It Be, like maybe the Beatles did that, but like it's really hard to do that, right? And um so I guess I learned not to try because I used to, like I said in the beginning, like I try. Like I'm a try hard person. So like I might want to think, what's a song that everyone will love? For me, some people, I think maybe that kind of gets them going. That just kind of shut me off because I'm like, I don't know. Like it's too, it's not truthful anymore if I do that. It has to be like, what do I think? I guess that's really what I've learned is like, you can't please everyone, but also everyone's the same. And the fastest way to get there is by being your most true self, because if you're yourself, people can smell it and like then they feel understood. And so yeah, I guess I learned like going inward is actually a better way to go outward and reach everyone rather than like trying to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. No, totally kind of divorcing yourself from the idea that you need to please people.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting about that is that usually when when you're creating something so that somebody else likes it,
Yeah.
people often resonate with it a lot less.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, like we all can sense it when someone's saying something. Like a song that someone writes because they needed to say something just resonates so much better than a song, in my opinion, where that feels like they were trying to make you feel something. It's like, don't try me,
Right.
don't try to manipulate me. Just
Yes.
express yourself and let me be a part of that, you know?
Yes, or like trying to get a hit record.
Exactly. Like that never worked. I think some people can do that. I think I'm really impressed by people who can be like, today we're going to write a smash. Like, couldn't be me. I need to go in there and think like, no one will ever hear the song. This is just my diary. And then that usually goes better.
And I want to ask you about working with Nile Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because I was invited to an event at the Grammy Museum, and he was moderating
Wow.
for Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother.
Yeah.
And we got to hear some of his stories, and he just seems like such a fascinating person. I mean, he's a legend.
Yeah.
What was it like getting to work with him?
So cool. The coolest thing about working with Niall, I mean, the coolest thing was just like hearing his guitar playing on my song. When he sent it to me, he's like, okay, I did a solo. I don't know if we need the solo, but I did it. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? We need the solo. It was so good. But what was really fun was it was during COVID. And so we would like FaceTime and like talk on the phone. And I got to hear so many stories. Niall really, of course, has the best stories ever and is very generous in sharing them. And so we got to just like really get to know each other over the phone when we were all trapped in our houses and just sending songs back and forth. We tried one song first that was really cool and might, end up being a different collaboration down the line, but it wasn't exactly right for this record. So we tried the other song, Consequences, which is the one that he's featured on. And it was just, I'm just like obsessed with music, So when I get to collaborate like that with such a legend, I just felt very, very lucky. I feel very lucky that I got to do that.
And I want to talk to you about Fig Tree because it really feels like you're entering a new chapter. What was going on with you personally that led to this particular record being written?
Yeah, so much. So I think I was like, entering my 30s. My brother had kids, which was like the first kids I was ever really around. I froze my eggs during this time, and I read a bunch of books. Completely coincidentally, I read a book called Motherhood by Sheila Heti. I read The Bell Jar, which I had never read, by Sylvia Plath. And I more or less felt like the intensity and heaviness of like, there comes a point in life where you start to make choices that are forever, and you start to choose doors that you walk through that inherently mean you don't go through the other doors. And I think, maybe in like different eras that happened earlier, but in my world, especially like in LA and New York, and I'm from San Francisco, like your early 30s is really the beginning of that kind of, the fracturing of people choosing certain lives and which life they're going to choose, and the finality of some of those choices, like having kids, like just considering that, choosing your partner, choosing who you're going to make a life with. Of course, life can continue to change and will change for your whole life, but there's like some certain pretty major moments that happen at this phase of life that I was really like kind of getting existential about. And so it's about that. I wrote about it a lot. I wrote this essay for Bustle that really gets into like a lot of the really personal nitty gritty of that. because it's a lot. It's like when I try to explain it, it's a little bit nuanced. Like my first album, I was like, I went through a breakup and it was really hard. And like, that's real. But like, this is so much more grown up than that. Like, it's a little bit more complicated. It's like a little bit more nuanced. So it's not like the easiest story to tell, I guess, so far. I haven't found in interviews, but that's why we're doing like all this mixed media stuff and art shows and writing an essay and all this kind of stuff, because it feels like more complicated and there's more angles to look at it from. And yeah.
And you said that the album explores womanhood and the loneliness that comes from
Yeah.
that. I think that that's a really interesting topic because I haven't heard many people talk about this.
Yeah.
And I think definitely there is some loneliness that comes with womanhood. I also think there's loneliness that comes with adulthood in general.
Totally.
And I think a lot of it has to do with what you just mentioned. You know, you're choosing these doors that you're going to walk through. And I love the way you said that by choosing a door, you're also not choosing others to walk through. And I think that when you do end up, especially like in your 30s, when you're making these big life altering decisions, really, as it pertains to your personal life, career, I think that if you're trying to pursue something that's going to require a lot of your time and a lot of your effort, you're going to be lonely.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, it's an interesting position to be in because one could say, okay, well, I'm pursuing my passion. I'm doing what really excites me. And that's amazing and fun. But I'm also having to sacrifice a lot of time with family, time with friends to do it. So my question to you is, how do you balance the two?
One thing I learned a few years ago, I really learned this, is that to be an artist, you can't shut yourself out of the world. Like, as much as creativity, like you just said, can be lonely, ambition can be lonely, being a hard worker can be lonely. If you're going to be an artist, you really have to live your life, because in my opinion, the point of an artist is to express like the human experience and be the voice for people who don't have that ability in order to understand their own feelings and their own life. Like, I do think that's what the purpose of an artist is. So in that way, like, being with the world, I actually think it's like part of my job. So it forces me to have some balance, but it's definitely like there is a very different feeling around people in my life who are equally devoted to like their craft or their dreams or their job, and people who are less like attached or like beholden to something that they care about this much. You know, it is like a different experience. I think anybody who loves something the way I love to sing, it's like it's like life or death, kind of like that's a certain kind of thing that not everybody is going to understand, and that can be lonely. But it's also kind of beautiful to have people in your life who are different than you, and like you know, can offer really different, can kind of change my perspective when I'm being too dramatic about something, to have my friend who's a little more sane be like, relax. So like sometimes that's really nice, you know, like, so yeah, it can be lonely, but it's at the same time, I will also say I feel so lucky that I get to be a singer and that I get to have this thing that I love so much. It's like the price you pay sometimes, like it's worth it for me, you know?
And that's actually a really good point. I'm glad you brought it up about how, especially as an artist, that you need to be one with the world. You need those real life experiences.
Yeah.
I think it was, I'm not sure, but I'm almost 100% sure it was Chelsea Handler who said that she had a book that was, you know, she had to write a book and she had a deadline and she booked a vacation. And then someone said, aren't you supposed to be working on your book? And she's like, what do you think I'm going to be doing on this trip?
Exactly. No,
like
exactly.
living her life to have stories. I hope it was Chelsea. I don't know if it was you or not, Chelsea, but
yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, you got to live, or else what's the point of you? You know?
Right. And where do you find inspiration for your music when you're feeling like you're having maybe like a little bit of writer's block?
Other art, like seeing movies, reading books, listening to music, going to see my brilliant ballerina friends dance, like fashion. Like I love art of all kinds. I really, really love art. So that inspires me. If I'm reading a really good book, it's hard for me not to read a sentence that inspires a lyric, like if I'm honest. So, but that doesn't, I get writer's block all the time. And sometimes I just have to not write. You know, sometimes you got to just be like, it's not the time to write. If you're feeling like maybe you need to go get some more input, go book that vacation like Chelsea Handler, or go just put stuff in your soul rather than trying to excavate it. Like sometimes you got to like refuel for a while. Yeah. And like have fun. Go like, sometimes I just need to like be drunk or something. I don't know. Just like have fun. It's like not so serious, you know, sometimes.
It's so true. I say that all the time to my friends. I'm like, sometimes going out and getting drunk, it's like the next day you're hungover, but you feel like
You feel
in a way,
amazing.
yeah, you're back from the spa. Like
Exactly.
so much lighter. You let up some steam.
Well, I swear, like laughing. Like if I laugh all day, and like my singing voice is better if I laugh. So it's like you gotta just like, you gotta laugh. You gotta have some fun.
Really? Do you think it warms up your vocal cords?
I do.
Oh,
I really
wow.
think this is like a completely like based on nothing other than anecdotally my life theory. But I notice that if I go out and have like a really fun night where I'm laughing a lot, despite the fact that I maybe drank or talked, like you really talking in a loud place is like the worst thing for singers. Never talk in a loud place. But I will say, I mean, talk in a loud place sometimes, but that's the worst thing you can do for your singing voice. But I will say, if I'm really laughing, I swear to God, my voice the next day is like, I can sing anything. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's like, I don't know. But I definitely notice it.
And I want to talk to you about Hold Tight because I
Yeah.
got to listen to it. It's such a beautiful song.
Thank you.
What was the inspiration behind that song?
So that song, like I mentioned, I froze my eggs during the writing process, which if you know anyone who's done that, it's like a hormonal adventure. Some people more than others, I will say. Like plenty of my friends had a perfectly neutral experience, but I was on a hormonal roller coaster. And the album touches on that from multiple angles. I would say Hold Tight was like the actual cuckoo banana storm I was in in like the hormonal crash, which I agree when you mentioned earlier, like I'm not really sure anyone's written a song about that before. If they have, maybe, I don't know. For some reason, like talking about it feels like too personal, but that's the truth. It's like I was in this storm. There's no other way to say it. And I wasn't feeling like myself, and I wasn't really liking myself, and I can be really defensive, and I almost feel like the song is me trying to defend myself by being like, I know I'm being crazy, but I'm not going to stay crazy. Like this is just, I was just kind of explaining it away. And I wrote the beginning of it on my roof with my friend Eric Leva, who's a brilliant songwriter. And yeah, I think there's also a lot in that song about, you know, you're no longer maybe in the, like you've been with your person for long enough that they've seen you the good, they've seen the bad, they've seen you from all angles. And again, with the theme of the album, you kind of cross the line to a more like adult, long term. It's not like I'm in a fight and I'm mad at you or something. It's more, it's like deeper than that. It's like sometimes I'm a mess, you know. This is part of me, and like, can you love me anyway, you know? And like in like a long-term fundamental way, if that makes sense. And I think the hormones were just making me super insane. So it was kind of like drugs. So it was great.
Oh, interesting. So you wrote this song right before freezing your eggs.
Basically, like you freeze your eggs, and then once you've done it, you stop the hormones, and there's a crash.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, the way I would describe it is like PMS on like steroids. It's like deranged for me, not for everyone. Plenty of people that had a perfectly normal experience. But for me, it was like I have never felt like that before. I felt like completely not myself for weeks. And yeah, this song came out of that.
I want to talk about your Key Smith Gallery project. I found it very interesting too. Rozzi, I feel like you do a lot of things that are like not super conventional in music, but I think it's so artistic and fun.
Thank you.
Can you talk to us about that project?
Yeah. So Key Smith has a gallery in New York, the Lower East Side. It's a very cool gallery. And there's a little stage downstairs. So Key and I collaborated, and we did a group show where over 500 artists from around the world applied. And we had this very cool panel of judges that selected 26 artists out of that 500. And each artist made a piece in response to one of the songs off my forthcoming album, Fig Tree. So basically for the 6 weeks in September and half of October, you could walk around the gallery, look at each piece, and there's like a cute little like MP3 player next to it with headphones. So you could listen to the song, most of which, are not out yet, listen to the song and look at the piece that was made in response to it. And there's 2 pieces per song. So that's a really interesting element. You could look at one piece and it's for one song, and the exact same song inspired a piece that looks absolutely nothing like the other one, which was super fascinating. And then I performed in this space once a week, like as a residency on the little stage downstairs. And it was one of the most exciting creative experiences of my life, the whole thing, from looking through the artists, meeting the artists, watching them make these pieces, and then getting to be a part of the show in New York. It was really, really special. I wish we could bring it all over the world. It was really, really, really fun.
And were you surprised by any of the artist interpretations of your work?
Yes. Yes. It was, I offered myself up to them. I was like, if you want to talk to me, you can. You don't have to talk to me. And the main thing I wanted to impart on them as an artist myself is I was like, I don't want to get in your way. There are no rules. You do not have to do anything you think I want you to do. You can do whatever you want. And that was fun, because then there's some pieces that I was like, now I think I really do understand what everyone was coming from. There's something about just being around the pieces for a long period of time. But some of them I was like, wow, that's so interesting to me. What about the song? It was just so cool. It was trippy. It was really trippy to see these really brilliant artists with these skills that I could never have in a million years create something that was so connected to like my deepest most personal feelings. It was really fascinating, really cool.
And did any of their interpretations change the way you listen to your own music?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I did. It was like some of them, captured a certain joy that I didn't totally recognize until they showed it to me, or vice versa. Some of them showed a certain kind of intensity or like melancholy that I didn't totally realize until they showed it to me. It was really, really cool.
If you had to get a lyric from Fig Tree tattooed on you today, you had no choice.
Oh my God.
Which would it be?
Probably, I have no tattoos, I'll preface by saying that, so it would take a lot for me to get one. But if I probably there's this one line in the actual song Fig Tree that is like the thesis of the whole album to me, which is, one fig on the branch, we're choosing each other, but the love of my life is the loss of another. That's kind of wordy, actually. I don't know how I would fit that on my body, but that may be really small somewhere.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
And what's a vocal warm-up you swear by?
Ooh, anything. My voice teacher, Jeffrey Allen, is the greatest ever, and I do his vocal warm-ups. I think his book is called The Secrets of Singing. I don't want to say that wrong, but he also is just a great teacher, and he has vocal recordings that I have on my phone that I've done every day of my life for the past 15 years. So those.
And who is one collaborator you haven't worked with yet, but the universe keeps hinting at?
Oh God. Maybe my hero, Ariana Grande, who is has been supportive over the years, which is continues to be a highlight of my life. That's not even hyperbole. I'm obsessed with her. So that would be a dream come true for sure. Yeah.
I love that for you, and I'm also going to manifest this for you too.
Yeah.
And what is a fear that you left in the album?
Ooh, I love that question. I think that you can only have one life. I think I rode that to death, and it turns out you can, by the time I finished the album, I already had a new life. You know what I mean? It's you keep living and your life becomes a new life. And that's there's no, I actually don't think there's any limits. I think you can do whatever you want. It's hard, but you can do whatever you want. And I think that for a while I was scared I had to choose.
Oh, that's a good one. And what about the writing process made you come to this realization? What was it about writing this album that it shed some light on that truth for you?
I think I think it's pretty much just that I was so like I'm talking about the record now, like I'm starting to do press for it. And I find myself putting myself back in my shoes when I was writing. And I remember the feeling of like, fuck, if I like choose this, does that mean I can't have this? And if I do this, can I not do this? And now it's a year or two later and I've already done different things and opened different doors and lived different lives than I saw coming. And so I think I answered my own question. I'm like, yes, I understand the pain in making choices sometimes because like I said, you choose one life, you delete the rest. Like that is painful. But it turns out you don't really delete them. You just like put one on pause and then maybe press play on the next is what I'm learning. I mean, I don't know. Ask me in 10 years, but that's what I think I think for now.
We're going to ask you on From Vision to Creation
Great.
again in 10 years. We're going to ask that same question.
Perfect.
And, I'm actually really glad you brought that up because I think that a lot of people have that fear.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it. Because in some cases, it's true. Like if you choose one thing, you're saying no to other things. But it's not always the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just not the right time and you can pursue those things later.
Yeah. And I think that really what it is it's like, it's not so much, again, it's a theme. It's not so much the external. Like, yes, there are choices. You marry one person, you can't really marry somebody else unless you're not married to that. You know what I mean? Like things, you have a kid or you don't. Like, like things like that. But it's really more like, who are you? Like, who are you every day? And who are you spending time with when you're by yourself? Like that can change forever. And you can keep growing and learning and becoming someone else. And I think, it can feel limiting to be one thing until you look back and realize there's a million things I used to be that I'm not anymore. Who knows what I'll get to be in the future, It's like actually very exciting if you think about it that way.
And that question, who am I? That's a big one because first of all, to ask the question, you have to conquer fear at some level.
Totally.
Because to just even be presented with the question is like, oh God, like who am I? But then the only way to answer it, in my opinion, is that you have to pursue what excites you the most, what you feel your passion is.
Yep.
Showing up in those moments, I think that's how you get the answer to that question. Because
I agree.
if you're not challenged, how can you ever figure out who you are?
It's so true. You have to do stuff that is terrifying. And then, like we said before, like you can't guess what other people want. You have to really listen to what you want. That's the only way, I think, really, to do anything.
Absolutely.
End of the day.
What has been the most terrifying thing you've ever done?
I mean, recently I starred in a short film as like the lead actress. That was so terrifying. Hopefully coming soon somewhere. But I mean, if I'm honest, like every time I get up to sing, I'm scared, despite the fact that it's my favorite thing in the world. I'm just like nervous all the time. But like I said, in a good way. Like I'm like in a way that feels like butterflies. It's fun. Writing about this subject, like as you've seen, it's like complicated and personal and not the easiest to explain. And it's definitely like I've had to kind of be brave enough to say some stuff that usually I might keep to myself.
And Rozzi, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned throughout the course of your career so far?
Be yourself. It's like kind of trite, but it's so true. It's trite for a reason. Like be yourself. And you can't force yourself to know yourself until you do. So take your time.
That's
take your time to know yourself. Because you can't rush that. You don't know yourself till you do, really, Some people like just wake up knowing themselves, I think, when they're like 8 years old. And I'm a little bit more of a late bloomer. Like sometimes it takes a second to know yourself.
And where's the best place that people can keep up with you and all of your work?
Anywhere on the internet, I guess. Like all my music's on all the Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever you use, just at Rozzi. And then at This Is Rozzi is like my Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff.
Well, I'm going to include the links to all of your social handles and your website in the episode notes. So anybody who wants to check it out, you can easily do that by clicking below. And Rozzi, if you could go back in time and offer your younger self one bit of advice right before embarking on this specific journey, maybe let's go back to the young girl who just was started writing songs for the first time.
Wow.
What would you tell her?
She wouldn't listen to anything I said. Like, I know that. Probably just keep going. Like, there's a lot of stuff I would say that she wouldn't understand yet, you know? Keep going, and you don't have to try so hard, maybe. You can just be a little bit.
Well, Rozzi, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This is so much fun.
Thanks for
I
having
really
me. It's so
appreciate
much
it.
fun. Yeah, thanks, of course. Yeah.